What's up, boys? Welcome back to a new episode of Is It IMBA or Do I Suck? And in today's episode we have Mr. Quantum taking it on against these nuts. You might be wondering, well, what is the complaint this time? Let's read it. You guys can read with me. Hi there, Diamond 3 Toss player here. After a successful gate expand into Oracle Opener, we went into a macro game. Circle spreading creep like crazy, and by the time I needed to expand to my 5th base, it was covered in creep completely. Not Overlord P, legit creep. The whole map was basically creep. Because of this I couldn't do any Zealot run-bys because you would see it from a mile away. Also couldn't do any Prism harass because of the same reason. I believe this creep mechanic is way too overpowered due to the benefits it brings for essentially no cost. Kevin, you must see this. This is truly unfair. Alright, I got you, Quantum, I got you. Let's have a look. It's time to figure out if it is IMBA or if you suck. Now, Quantum specified that he opened up with a standard gate expand into Oracle and even did some damage. In the email he said he killed 5 to 6 workers and then creep just became too much. Now, especially around his 5th base, which is odd because I believe this is the 5th base. It's not that far to spread there, maybe 6-7 tumors, but it's kind of difficult for the Zerg to keep that creep alive. So we're gonna see if what Quantum is doing is correct or if he's making any big mistake. Do mind this is Diamond 3. So there's gonna be, you know, some errors, mechanical errors, but we can oversee those, you know. We won't be too picky on the small mechanical errors he will make. Like not putting these guys in gas fast enough, not starting the Stargate immediately. These things don't matter. It's about the big concepts. Are they broken or not? That's the only thing that really matters. And we're here to find out, boys. We're here to find out. Oof, this wall is a little bit painful. I don't think this can be blocked by anything. Perhaps an Archon might be able to block this. Or if you put 2 Stalkers next to each other. Maybe an Adept and a Stalker as well. This is not how you want a wall on this map. But it's okay. We can forgive that. It goes into Stargate, Robo. I don't think we'll have any money for an Oracle here. So it's a weird build order, as usually you wait with the Robo until you at least build a single Oracle. Most of the time even after you build 2 Oracles. So the build order doesn't make a lot of sense. The wall is pretty bad. The gases are slightly early and he's not producing probes. From any of the Nexi at the moment, which is really bad in the early game. You want to get as many probes out as possible, of course. Want to get that eco going. It's not like you don't have enough money for it, so that's very important. He's getting a pylon, so he won't get supply blocked. And now we'll see what he will get from the Robo. He also really should put his units in the wall. In case of a link flood, he would have died immediately, Mr. Quantum. So be careful of that. Learn how to wall on every map as well, as that's kind of important. Meanwhile, we see these nuts just happily droning up, right? Just getting 2 Evos, getting a Roach Warren. No spores yet, as these nuts is completely unaware of the Stargate that is here. Oracle flies across the map through Watchtower vision. These nuts has some queens ready, so he shouldn't be in too much trouble trying to defend this. Wait, there's 4 queens. 1 at the 3rd, 1 over here, and 2 in the main. Let's see what our friend Quantum is going to do with this Oracle. We'll be able to get, well, 2, 3. Please finish it before you move on. Yeah. 4 or 5 workers. 6, 7, 8, 9, and loses an Oracle. This is a move that is very common, especially at lower levels. They'll sacrifice their Oracle in order to get 1 or 2 more drone kills. While you can say, well, in the end it was worth it because, you know, he got 9 kills and he only lost a single Oracle. That's a good trade. Sure, that's a good trade, but a better trade would have been killing 7 workers and getting away with your Oracle alive. That way you have it later on for Revelation. You can come back when you have a 2nd Oracle. Maybe you can kill more drones. So it's the priority is always in keeping your Oracles alive rather than killing extra drones. Like the 1 or 2 extra drones you're gonna get from sacrificing it are never really worth it. Just something to keep in mind, that even though the trade in the end is worth it, it wasn't necessary to lose it. Like you could have ended the trading process. You could have just gotten 7 free drone kills, then get out of there. That would have been way better than losing it for 2 more drones, obviously. That's how you should always see it. Now, the build that Quantum is doing doesn't make a lot of sense, right? We see Forge, Templar Archives, Robo. He just built a robotics facility for an observer. Third base is insanely late for no real reason. He's very safe already, so he could have taken this base probably, well, 2 minutes ago already. I have a guide on oracles. I think it's called the Outrageous Oracle Opener. I will put it up here somewhere if you want to see how this build is supposed to be played. Rushes straight into Storm, and basically the moment you rush Storm, you lose all the right to complain about your opponent getting back into a game, because when you get Storm out, you are not capable of putting on a lot of pressure on your opponent anymore, which is one of the most important things. If you kill a lot of workers early on, you want to put pressure on with Archons, with Charge Lot, with maybe Immortals, a lot of gateways, that kind of stuff. But once you get Storm, you're kind of settling for a slower game, because you need to wait for your Templar, you need to wait for your Storm, and Storm in small armies isn't quite as powerful. The bigger your army, the more powerful Storm becomes, right? Because it's harder to micro against, there's more units to hit, which also means it's harder to miss, basically. So you always want to... This is why usually you never see Storm rushed on this small of an army supply. Like, this is a normal timing for Storm, but that's just because his third base is so late. His army supply is way too little. His vision is practically 0. His observer stays with his main army together with the Oracle. I think he's moving in F2. There's not a single unit in the wall. It's warping in some Templar, which is nice. I guess this Phoenix is doing something. So what information does he have right now? Quantum has no information about gas count. He isn't aware if there's a 4th base or maybe a 5th base. He doesn't know if there's anything. And he's down 13 workers simply because he's been taking his bases too late. He's been focusing on the wrong things. His Templar Archives was too fast. All of his tech structures basically were way too fast. When you play an Oracle Opener, you want to get your Stargate and then a Robo later on for safety of that the Immortal gives you. But instead, Quantum just got every single building that exists in the game, bar the Robo Bay and the Fleet Beacon. And I was like, alright, now it's time to play my game. It's time to play a macro game. I got all my buildings. Now I'll take my third base at the 6:30 mark, and at 8 minutes he takes his gases. That's literally 2 to 2.5 minutes later than it should be. And I mean, we see it in the army supply, right? Army supply is really, really low here for Quantum at this time. He hasn't been active on the map because he straight rushed Storm. He has no clue what army composition his opponent has. He could be getting all-in at any moment. 10 Mutas could fly in. I mean, there's 3 Stalkers here, but against 10 Mutas, I don't think that would be enough. The vision is really, really bad. And just sending the Observer to the other side of the map, putting it on Observer mode on one of the bases, is already very good. You're going to see what pops from the eggs. If you do it at the base where the Zerg has been tagging, you can see if he's getting into Hive, if he's still on Lair, and then you can make decisions based on that. But if you have no information, you're just constantly gambling, and for no real reason, because you can get information. Now, on top of that, Quantum, after he moved out with his Oracle about 6 minutes ago, hasn't actually done a single thing on the map. Like, once again, I'm going to go into his vision. He isn't even aware there's any creep right now. And obviously, it's really easy to spread creep as a Zerg if nothing is happening. I mean, this Zerg has just been macroing up. He has a big bank. He has 84 workers. He has the creep spread that, well, I think Serral would be kind of jealous of this creep spread at this time, because most tosses that Serral plays against move on the map to clear some creep, you know? And of course, if you're going to let the Zerg sit there and you're not going to do anything for 6 minutes, and you're not macroing up quickly yourself, you're taking your third base way too late, you're just going to have such a difficult time to do anything. And it's just not that good to do, honestly. It just really isn't. So, finally, what do we have? We have 4 Templar with Storm. We have, honestly, I have no clue what this army positioning is. It's not in position for anything, except maybe an attack into the natural. If a Nidus would be built here, this army would be in a very good position to deal with that. Probably the best position. I don't think Quantum could wish a better position in case a Nidus would be positioned here. Or in case his opponent decides to fly 10 Mutas into the natural, the army is in a perfect position. Now, I have absolutely no clue what this move out is. I've never seen this before in my life. 3 Stalker, 1 Adept, 1 Immortal hit squad to take the tower in the middle. No clue what his opponent is doing. He denies some creep and he sees a million links and he's like, I guess these units just die. Doesn't use Storm. Now his army from the natural gets activated and he's like, oh, wait a second. I think I can deal with this. No. I think this is an F2 command as well. So literally every unit on the map is moving right now. 4 extra gateways are being built, so he's kind of working on his macro. And don't forget his complaint was creep, right? So we see he actually managed to deny a lot of creep with just a single move out. Imagine if he had been doing something active on the map for the past 7 minutes. He would have been able to do this basically on every side, because it takes time to rebuild creep, especially if you have a scary army. He could send an observer here and send 3 zealot there, send another observer here and 3 zealots there, but he actually has 3 observers, but sadly, because he uses F2, they're all flying with his army. You see this prism. He says that he couldn't really use the prism to harass, but the real reason why he isn't using the prism to harass is because he's only using the F2 button and it keeps selecting the prism. So probably every time he sets up a run by or something like that, all the units eventually come back once he moves out. Dances in the biles, stands in the lurkers. That's probably one of the worst fights imaginable with the army that he had. Just absolutely get this. Oh my god, are you joking? Don't walk into this. The worst part is that the Zerg isn't moving his lurker, so right now Quantum might actually kind of feel like this was a good trade. He'll move out and get absolutely slaughtered. Here will be like, well, there's creep everywhere. How do I deal with this? I just lost all of my observers as well. My opponent has lurkers. Maybe rebuild an observer. Maybe build an oracle to tag these. I mean, he still has a lot of money. Like, walking into lurkers actually doesn't do anything. Like, you know the lurkers are here, just build an observer. Like, he keeps saying that the creep is too strong, but the real problem is that he hasn't tried to deny it even once. He hasn't tried a single run by. He just looks at the creep and goes, ah, too much creep everywhere. Like, this is, I can't run by. He will just see it, but honestly, at this level, it won't matter if he sees it. Like, you're still taxing your opponent. Even if I'm playing against top players, like, I still do run-bys even if there's creep. Like, you need to. Sometimes I do run-bys just to clear the creep. I send an observer, I send 4 zealots, and they just clear creep. Like, you make opportunities for yourself to do later run-bys. Prisms don't really care about creep. You can send a prism here, like... The problem is that he has 0 map vision, because he keeps using the F2 button for absolutely everything, so he can't leave units around the map. He just keeps move commanding into armies, doesn't really use storm at all. I mean, what is this? Like, these guys are just bugging out, basically. Yeah, no crap you're gonna lose. Zerg just completely outplayed you. It's nice that you killed 9 workers in the early game, but then if you just sit on your butt for the rest of the game, don't do anything, and just F2 around. Nice one. Unbelievable, Quantum. Quantum. You had a good start. Well, the first 2 minutes were good. You managed to execute the 1 gate expand. You got the Stargate. Then you built the Robo too fast. Your Twilight was too fast. Templar Archives was too fast. 3rd base was way too late. You stopped using any kind of hotkeys for your units. You didn't produce probe for the majority of the game. Hell, 13 minutes in game. You're +3. Isn't even halfway done yet. Your army control has to be absolutely awful. You didn't even try to deny creep once. You didn't use your prism once. You had no spotters on the map. The only thing you did that was good was walking to the middle of the map, but even then you did it with the wrong units. You sacrificed an Immortal, a Templar, and 3 Stalkers, which is a lot of gas. You'd much rather sacrifice Zealots there. The issue really isn't creep, Quantum. Trust me, the issue is not creep. The real issue here, my friend, is that you suck. You suck, man. That's just the way of the world. I can't help it. No one can help you but yourself. I'm sorry, Quantum. I hope you get better soon in the game. Alright, that was it for this episode of Is it IMBA or do I suck? And surprisingly, we have another sucker. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe down here. And leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions or any criticisms. I'll be glad to read all of them. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you boys in the next episode of Is it IMBA or do I suck? Bye bye.